again. This is Rosemary Armeo, and I'm bringing you my podcast, Beyond the Brink and Fighting Back. This is actually the last chapter of our third season. We're going to go out strong. I have a repeat guest. Those of you who are regular followers will recognize Mary Anne Sharkey. Mary Anne and I were reporters together. She was actually I'd say mentor, but that makes you sound old. She was the person
I am old.
she showed me the glories of investigative reporting back at the Plain Dealer. She's covered Ohio politics, and that means she's covered national politics since the 1970s. She's a pioneer, not just in investigative reporting, but in women doing that job. And I'm thrilled that you were able to join us again today, Mary Anne.
Thank you.
You've been a little bit busy in Ohio. Let's start off with you bringing up to date on the Senate race, which is being closely watched. It's become a national race, as many in Ohio are. How is Sherrod Brown doing?
Well, I think all the polls show it's neck and neck. But I have a feeling. I strongly feel. I've been watching the ads, and they're starting to really pin down John Husted on some of his vulnerabilities, including the first energy scandal in Ohio, and now they're tying him to Les Wexner, who was the Jeffrey Epstein's
enabler.
Enabler. He was the one. He was his first big client, and he got most of his money started with Les Wexner, who owned the Limited and Bath, Body, and Beyond, or whatever that's called, and Victoria's Secret, and Abercrombie and Finch. Is it
Fitch?
Yeah,
he owns a number.
I don't shop there.
He owns a number of very popular, very lucrative.
Exactly.
Retail.
So let's put it this way: Les Wexner is a billionaire many times over, and as you probably know, Rosemary is a big contributor to Ohio State University, and has sat on the board of trustees forever there.
The Art Center in Columbus is named for him. Yeah. What is Husted's connection to him?
Well, John Husted he was House Speaker, Ohio House Speaker. Then he became the Lieutenant Governor.
Right.
And then Mike DeWine, who is the governor, appointed him to the vacancy of J.D. Vance in Ohio.
Correct.
So Husted was appointed to that. But the connection is Les is a big contributor to John Husted.
Ah, I see. So there's an Epstein connection.
Yeah, they're already showing Epstein looming over, on the TV ads, looming over everything, over John Husted and the money he gave him, et cetera, et cetera. So, but in fairness, Les Wexner was a big Republican donor, period.
Yeah.
Not just to John Husted.
It's not like he singled him out at all. Well, how is Sherrod Brown fighting back? What's his? I understand that's the attack, but what's his program? He has been. The Republicans seem to be going after him with the same things that they did the last time when he lost his Senate bid, and he's old too, which is not a good look anymore for Republican politicians.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the one thing about Sherrod is that he's got staying power. He even though he lost to J.D. Vance, but that was in the Trump tide that was sweeping through the nation, including Ohio. So without Trump on the ticket, I think he has a better shot. And also, Sherrod Brown has worked the hustings. I mean, he's worked Ohio for decades now. And he's known as Labor's guy. He's always been Labor's guy.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, all the unions are supporting him in Ohio. They're not as strong as they used to be. Certainly, the public service unions have gotten a lot stronger in Ohio. So he will have the union support. I just think that Sherrod's a good campaigner. He's a good retail campaigner.
He also has Connie working for him.
He has Connie Schultz. Yes.
We have a connection to his wife, Pulitzer Prize winner Connie Schultz, who worked at the same time that we did in Cleveland. She's a terrific reporter and still writes extensively online.
Well, what's
she kind of supports him.
Oh yeah, what's interesting, I think Rosemary, during his first campaign or two, she kind of stayed in the background. She was kind of
Right.
reluctant to get out front. For one thing, her hands were kind of tied when she was still working for the plain dealer. Um,
Correct.
but this campaign, I can see that she's taking a front and center role in
She's
this
out there
campaign,
all the time. Yeah.
and she's very popular with women. She brings us, a strong group of women behind her. She's always had a strong following. I mean, men will follow her too, obviously, but she has a very
Yeah.
strong
She has a
following.
particular appeal.
Yes, to women with her columns.
She's both, she comes from labor, her family's blue collar.
Right.
She's a very strong, independent woman, and yet is a very loyal Senate wife as well. So she's a good combination. Okay, so put now Ohio, as always, is in the national context. The Sherrod Brown seat, I guess it isn't his, that's wrong to say it that way, but his candidacy is one of the big hopes for Democrats who want to take over the Senate.
Correct.
How do you see that
Correct.
going? And
I
have
think
any
it's shared. I think
takeover?
they're going to pour a ton of money into the campaign. Both
Right.
sides are going to, uh, pour a ton of money. I mean, they hit Sherrod when he ran against JD Vance. First of all, JD Vance's whole. I mean, not JD Vance, Bernie Moreno.
Yeah,
Bernie
Marino.
Moreno.
I was gonna,
Yes,
you
I'm going
mentioned
to say.
that
I'm
before,
sorry.
and I
Yeah,
go,
no, it's
wait, I
Bernie Moreno. He
better
ran
check
against Bernie
this.
Moreno. And Bernie's entire ad campaign was he was endorsed by Trump. That was his entire ad campaign. Endorsed by
Right.
Trump, endorsed by Trump, endorsed by Trump. I see that John Husted seems I don't think he's comfortable with the Trump mantle. He
Hmm.
obviously is not going to throw it off, but John doesn't seem that as comfortable with having Trump carry him across the finish line. He looks like he's going to try to do it on his own merits, maybe until the end when the nationals come in and all the money comes pouring in, and then
Hmm.
it'll be Trump, 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 Trump.
Hmm.
But as we are seeing with the Trump ratings, I don't know how that's going to affect races anymore. Um, Ohio's hit hard, just like at every other state, with the gas prices and
Food
low
prices.
wages so that I don't know. I mean, I really don't know if Trump's going to be that popular to be able to pull it off.
I am mystified by Trump's appeal or lack of appeal because it seems contradictory. You have polls that we keep touting, the lowest ever, the lowest in modern times, lowest in this
Right?
term, and yet he stopped Cassidy. Senator Cassidy did
Yes,
not
it did.
win his primary in Louisiana. He paid for that vote for impeachment against Trump. And in Indiana, Trump came out in a race against state legislators, and
Yeah.
he didn't approve of. And he also managed to oust them. So is he still ultra powerful, or is his power waning, or we don't know?
I would say we're not quite sure, but I think he's waning. I really do. I think we can finally say that he's waning. Individual races, you can nationalize them, but as you and I both know, you can't always nationalize every individual race. Indiana is always going to be Republican. It's always been a strong Republican state. It was that way before Trump came along, and it will remain that way. Um, as for Cassidy, there were three males in there and one woman, and that usually favors the woman.
Hmm.
Um, if you have four candidates and three of them are men,
Right.
because women tend to vote for women for everything but governor and president.
President.
They don't vote for them for the administrative positions, unfortunately, but they will vote for them for congressional races and Senate races, and judicial races. Even for mayors, they can get elected mayors.
That's
But I
interesting. Had not realized there was that divide over top offices and lower offices. Interesting. God, we
yeah.
work against our own self-interest, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Ugh,
look at how many women voted for Trump. I mean, it's crazy.
I know. I know.
you know, and how
Another
many
thing I
Hispanics voted for Trump? I mean, that's equally crazy.
Yep, yep,
You
there's no
know?
reason for it. Okay, well, the aside from Trump's influence, which is always there,
Right.
a big determining factor in this year's midterms is obviously going to be redistricting, and the
Yes.
battle's going on nation. So tell me about that. How are your feelings on that? Are you watching it?
I am watching it. I mean, when I was a reporter, we used to call those stories the peas and carrots of news writing because
Right,
nobody really wanted to read them,
right.
even though we knew how important they were and how important it was to cover it. And I think more and more people are catching on to the fact that it's not just a nerdy thing that reporters and historians and other folks are interested in. It has real impact on our lives. So yeah, this is a very scary time because we used to only redistrict every decade, every 10 years on the census. Would be the reason we would redistrict. Now it's like becoming commonplace to redistrict. And of course, the U.S. Supreme Court decision is very frightening about, majority Black districts.
I mean,
Um,
we seem to be ushering in a renewed a renewed time of Jim Crow. The the
correct.
the
Yes,
laws, the Supreme Court, mysterious, mysteriously to me, is saying we are not discriminating anymore, and the law was never intended to ensure a win. So, do the best you can. I don't get that. I also don't understand how Alabama, that redistricting was supported by the court at the same time that they voted down, wouldn't even take up the case in Virginia where voters had approved the redistricting.
exactly,
It
exactly.
makes no sense to me. I'm not unless I put a very racist bent on it. So is the Supreme Court a bunch of white supremacists who are returning us to Jim Crow?
Well, I think this Supreme Court, this particular Supreme Court, I wouldn't call them a bunch of white racists, but many of them have had made their careers fighting equal rights and
Yes.
civil rights, and a lot of them came along in that era when there was sort of a backlash against, I think, more of our generation's accomplishments in terms of civil rights and women's rights. And I think that the problem is they're turning back the clock. Um, Ohio still has two majority Black districts, um, and it remains that way. And I will say to the credit of Mike DeWine and others that at least we're not trying to redistrict them out of their places.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
it's
we,
in the South. It's just remarkable. It's the targets. You go after the black districts, and you're in the hopes of getting. Is there any hope, Mary Anne, that discontent with Trump's policies is so vast that the redistricting won't play a role in it? That there'll just be anti-Trump votes across the board, white and black and Latino, and that won't be the defining factor.
Well, that definitely is the Democrats' hope. Um,
Sure.
and that the fact that a lot of these are going to be Hispanic districts um, will be interesting to see, given Trump's immigration policies and the backlash in the Hispanic community, whether or not they will turn against Trump based on these aggressive immigration policies that are clearly meant for people who are not white.
Yeah. I've been reading. I kept saying this is a strange time that I picked up the book, The Warmth of Other Suns. Isabel
Uh-huh.
Wilkerson, she's a New York Times reporter, wonderful historian as well, wrote about the Black migration and the age of Jim Crow in the South. And I feel like I'm reading contemporary politics. It was
Yeah.
Plessy versus Ferguson back then in the early 1900s, but it's very similar to Supreme Court decision on the Voter Rights Act that we just saw in the past month.
It's
And
so depressing, isn't it,
it's so
Rosemary?
depressing.
We
Yeah.
thought we had won these battles for good,
Yep.
forever. And we did not.
We
We
did
did
not.
not.
We're fighting them all over again. And
Right.
just as after Plessy versus Ferguson, that's the Supreme Court ruling, listeners, that made separate but equal a constitutional standard, a terrible decision.
Right.
One red state after another said, "Oh, we have an opportunity here," and set up rules that just kept blacks out of society that whites were invited into.
Right.
And are we not seeing the same thing now? It's a terrifying thought.
And it's getting and that time it was basically limited to southern states, but we're seeing it
right.
creep into northern states too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to make a subject change here. So let me
Well,
tell
sure.
readers, remind readers that we're talking to Mary Anne Sharkey, who is a longtime writer and observer of Ohio politics, and that makes her kind of an expert in national politics as well, because Ohio is always in a center role. How does that come about? And how did Ohio turn so red? Even when I lived there, it was not as red as it is now.
Well, it definitely was not. Um, there's a combination of factors. Some of it has to do with the quality of the candidates and where the money was going.
Yeah,
But I mean, you have to remember Ohio. I mean, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton won Ohio twice.
right.
And that's why it was considered a bellwether state, because you were never quite
Right.
certain where Ohio was going to go, and it could go Democratic. And I still don't think that Ohio is. I think Ohio is purple now. I don't think
Interesting.
it's as red as people believe it is. Um, and this election will tell. We'll find out in the governor's race and the U.S. Senate race, whether or not this is a permanent trend, and Ohio is definitely in the red place, or whether or not it's going to. Democrats still stand a chance to win.
Yeah, interesting. Virginia's kind of flipped the other way. It tended to be more Republican. Now it's more
Right,
Democrat. Georgia totally confuses me. I think they're a bellwether. I can't tell how they're going to vote anymore.
right.
Yeah,
Well, I know you're familiar with Columbus, and I think that when Columbus has changed very, very much. It's now
hmm
Franklin County is now Democratic, and it used
Wow.
to be solidly Republican.
Solidly Republican.
And
Absolutely.
and all the and most of the growth in Ohio, really the majority of growth in Ohio is in central Ohio where Columbus is, and it's
Interesting.
becoming more and more Democratic. So it is possible we're seeing a new trend in this
I
state.
really think Trump is at the core of what's going to happen in the midterms, is the discontent with him overpowering the charisma that he's had, the power that he's held over people.
Right,
I
right.
just don't know how that's going to go. I am really interested in the Republican Party, though. Does it exist anymore? Robert Reich has a very interesting column this week about how he thinks you could make a case for the Republican Party turning into a cartel. It's a criminal cartel now, designed with no real principles, simply to give Trump whatever he wants. And we're going to talk about corruption in a minute, but
Yes.
he sees the party as acquiescing to or even abetting all of Trump's efforts to undo constitutional norms and take over money and power for himself. Is that too extreme?
No, I don't really think so. I mean, if you talk to, I mean, we have John Kasich.
Yep.
I think he might agree with that. I mean, he's a Republican, and was governor twice in Ohio, and I think he feels like he's out on the sidelines now.
hmm
You talk to Governor Bob Taft, who comes from the storied Taft family, all the way
hmm
back to William Howard Taft, and his grandfather was Mr. Republican, Senator Robert Taft, and he had a father who was also a Republican senator, and he was a Republican governor, and he endorsed Sherrod Brown for
Right.
for
Right.
Senate against Bernie Moreno.
Yeah.
I and I've talked to him, and he's completely sidelined now. I mean, he just doesn't feel like this is the party. This is
Yeah.
not the party of his ancestors, of his,
I mean, the platform, the last presidential election, the Republican platform was whatever Trump wants. The Speaker of
correct.
the House is
Well, there
totally,
isn't a platform.
yeah,
It's whatever he wakes up that day and feels like
yeah,
doing.
yeah. It's
There's no platform.
it's hard to defend being a Republican right now, I think, for many
I
people.
don't know what they stand for. I mean, it used to be Main Street, business people,
Right.
lawyer, law firms. I mean, we do country club Republicans. That's not who we have anymore.
No, it's completely changed. I have so many questions I want to ask you, so we're going to go darting off in different
Okay.
directions. Forgive that. I want to talk about Trump's China trip.
Yes,
Do you think he was duped? Did
I
she
do.
totally overwhelm him? Michael Smerkomish of
Yes.
MSNBC is arguing that no, Trump was being really strategic, and when he said, "Oh, I'm not even thinking about America's chances," that was a ploy, a negotiating ploy to say, "No, I'm really just focusing on you. I'm not thinking about the pressure on me." I found that a little hard to take, but I'm trying to keep an open mind. What do you think? How did Trump do in
Well, first
China?
of all, I think that's giving Trump way too much credit. He does he doesn't think strategically. That's why we're in this mess in Iran because he doesn't think
Mhm.
strategically. But I mean, yeah, Trump is prone, we know, to flattery.
Yep.
And he loves it when they give him he goes to these nations, they give him, flyovers and bands and children screaming and, and flag waving. And he loves all that, being toasted at these big dinners and big wigs. And he brings all these billionaires in his party, and they go along with him. I mean, come on, it's like America, the worst of America on display
It is.
when
It
these
is.
things happen. And I read a think tank from China who basically said we have Trump to thank for the decline of Western civilization.
Yeah, that's true. Well, she made in a public statement a description of America that we were an empire falling, we were
Correct.
failing, which Trump himself has said in the past. But Trump said this was very eloquent, that what he actually was saying was that under Biden we were failing, that we
Yeah,
were losing and falling down. But
I
now the
saw that.
past year we've
I
made a
saw
big
that.
comeback. I,
He always backfills
it's
with
amazing,
Biden or
amazing.
Obama. He always backfills with that.
He
You
does.
know,
They're the ones that fall for everything. So what do you think? Taiwan is toast?
I wouldn't trust Trump one iota on
No,
Taiwan.
no.
I really would not. If I were to, I would be very nervous if I was in Taiwan right now.
Right, right. The
You
American
just you
support.
can't trust him.
No.
He's definitely not trustworthy, unless Taiwan figures out a way to make him a billionaire many times over again.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's true.
that all they have to do is one big giant bribe to the Trump family, and
Yeah.
maybe they'll be fine.
I do want to talk about the many corruption schemes, but first, I have to bring up Colbert because that's a
Oh
First
yeah,
Amendment
yeah.
issue. May 21st, his last show, and he's out, and it appears that he's out not for financial reasons, as the network first claimed, but because he was an active critic of Trump. His replacement is a comedy show that does not do topical things. They don't talk about politics and current events. That doesn't seem to be an accident. Um,
No.
Colbert is earning all kinds of kudos for his bravery and cleverness. What do you think of all that? I find it tremendously sad and dangerous.
I think we've been seeing this coming. I mean, little bit, but little bit. Trump has done nothing but try to intimidate the media. Late night comics. Why is he bothering with late night comics? I
Exactly.
mean, doesn't he have anything better to do with his life? But no, he doesn't. It's always constant. He's very thin skinned, and Colbert obviously got under that skin, and they were involved in a merger, all of which I don't really understand. Maybe you understand it,
The
but
Paramount merger, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were in the middle of the merger, and they basically used, they used the federal government to put their thumb down on him and threaten him. And Colbert was, goodbye, Colbert.
this hasn't happened before in America. This is
Oh
some
my
stuff
God.
I saw in
This
Europe
is a
and in Africa. I,
no.
I
This
I was reading about the Smothers Brothers. Now I'm aging
oh
both of
yeah.
us here by
Right.
bringing that, but this was a comedy group in the 60s, and they
Right.
went after LBJ. And at one point, Tommy Smothers wrote an apology letter, a polite apology letter to the president. And LBJ, who was also a big bully, didn't
Yes, he
was
was.
rather thin-skinned. He wrote back and he goes, "No, that's your job and it's fine. We'll all survive." That's the why cannot Trump handle it the same way?
Well, because I think LBJ actually had a sense of humor.
Yeah, and pets,
Yes, right,
and he
right,
liked women.
right. Exactly.
He had his
Exactly.
own
But
problems with war, but he did have some saving graces, that's for sure. All right,
well, I
now
mean, it doesn't take a psychologist to figure out that Trump's got issues. Um,
uh,
he's a
although it is
narcissist.
taking a group of psychologists increasingly who are speaking out about this man is not right. So,
Exactly.
yeah, let's talk a little bit. John Lemeyer has an article in the Atlantic magazine. Also, this current week we're talking in mid-May about how Biden's decline was more noticeable because he was a small man and
Yeah,
he diminished. He talked softer. He shuffled. It was physically visible where Trump he's a big guy and he
yeah.
still is this commanding presence and he's still as visible. He is not hiding in his basement as Biden did. And so the decline is not being covered, but it's very real. Do you see it? Do you believe it's real?
I do believe it. I mean, he's obviously retaining water in his ankles. Um, he clearly is nodding off, in the Oval Office.
And in
Um,
China.
yeah, and he seems to be getting confused and mixed up. And he repeats himself. He says the same thing over and over and over again.
Hmm.
And I just think that it's all signs of a decline in his mental acuity. I don't think there's any question about it. He what if you go back to look at clips from 4 years ago or 5 years ago at his rallies, I mean he was on top of his game then,
Yeah.
and he's definitely not on top of his game anymore.
So how dangerous is that to have a president who's potentially growing incompetent?
Oh, it's very dangerous. I mean, we've already seen what happened to Iran.
Yeah.
He didn't think that through. I mean, they did so well in Venezuela that they thought they could do the same thing in Iran.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it'd
They,
be just as easy.
yeah.
And your guy Vance there from Ohio,
Don't you love him?
yeah, I love that guy. So he could very well be president
He could
without a
well.
vote.
He could very well be.
What would we be in for if that happened?
Well, Vance, he's a chameleon. Um, he started out anti-Trump and said all these nasty things about him, and then he, moved over, and then he befriended, Trump's son Eric, and no, Don Jr. I'm sorry, Don Jr. And they became best buddies, and he parlayed that into being running for vice president. And his book was very popular at the time, Hillbilly Eulogy.
Hmm.
And so all of those factors came into play. And Vance on paper looks pretty good. I mean, he's got an Ivy League education. He served in the Marines. He's got a great resume. But I don't know what the guy stands for. I, I mean, I
Yeah.
really don't. I mean, he's Charlie Kirk's best friend, and now he's supposed to be a Catholic, but now he goes after the Pope. I mean,
Yep.
that's crazy. He just, I mean, do you really think the Pope is going to come out for war?
Well, he's
And
so
then
big
it's
on
okay to
crime,
bomb
maybe.
people? You think the Pope's going to say, fine, go ahead, bombs away? I mean,
Yeah.
that's just nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a lifelong Catholic and I've been following the Popes forever. And this Pope is formidable. He may be the most formidable Pope of my lifetime.
He's certainly fun to listen to, and I like that he's not afraid of Well, he doesn't actually take him on, but he stands up to Trump
Oh,
to
yeah, he
Vance.
does.
Yeah,
I mean, he does it in such a way that he never names him, but everybody knows who
right.
he's
Everyone
talking
knows what
about.
he's doing. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Well, I think after he practiced, J.D. Vance practiced in an Ohio case when he was talking about the Haitians there. And yeah,
Yes,
yeah, well, I've gotten calls from constituents. They're eating the pets, they're eating the cats and dogs.
right.
He bought into that
It's a
ridiculously.
lie. It's a lie.
Of course it is.
I mean, first of all, the Haitians, this is a little complicated, but the Haitians, most of the Haitians are here because of Governor Mike DeWine.
Right.
DeWine has long, long time ties to Haiti. And he and his wife have been on many missionary excursions to Haiti. They even have a school named after their deceased daughter who was killed tragically in a car accident, Becky, and they named a school after her. At DeWine's, when DeWine was inaugurated, a Haitian priest was standing right next to him at his inauguration and gave
Wow.
the opening prayer. He
Wow.
has long ties with Haiti, and JD Vance had to know that. Had to know that. I mean, I don't know how he could not know that.
Mary Anne, this is interesting. I did not know this. So, why then would J.D. Vance upset a strong and very good Republican governor who he used to be close with, and side? He just totally went with Trump on this. What was his thinking? That it's just better opportunity was with Trump?
I think it was better. I don't know what he was thinking, but I have noticed that in recent times, months, even since Trump took office, they've toned down on the Haitian issue.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
they've really toned down the rhetoric,
Well,
and
they're still fighting in the court though to
yeah,
remove
they are. They
patient
are.
protection. So I don't know if they're toning it down, but they certainly have not backed down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
How does Mike
Exactly.
DeWine, how did he feel about all of this? What does he think of JD Vance now?
Well, I can't say what he thinks of him. I did run into to him at a reception maybe a month ago, and he gave me one of those rolling his eyes without saying anything
Uh-huh.
looks, uh, and I mean, I've known Mike DeWine since he was Greene
Yeah.
County prosecutor, for
Yeah.
heaven's
Yeah.
sakes.
You guys have been in Ohio
I've known him
together for
forever. Yes,
decades,
yes.
right?
It's been a lifetime of knowing Mike DeWine. And Mike DeWine is another Catholic. As I said, he and his wife, to their credit, go on these missionary excursions to Haiti and have, and collect clothes and food and holiday parties and the Haitian priest is one of his best friends. So I know where Mike's heart is.
Yeah.
I just think he doesn't want to poke the bear. I
Right.
think he's been very careful about poking the bear. So whatever he's doing, he's probably doing it quietly and diplomatically behind the scenes, because the last thing he wants is a big, showdown. But I think Vance is just cocky. I
Right.
mean, nobody feel. I mean, just when we were talking about the Republican Party, I don't think Vance would look at Mike DeWine as a problem for him, even though he's a Republican governor from Ohio, the same state. He doesn't look at the Republican Party as a problem.
Right.
It's a MAGA party. It's not the
Right.
Republican
Yeah.
Party.
No, Trump has subdued if not submerged the Republican Party.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
I don't know if you come back from that. If Trump were to disappear, I'm not going to say how, just disappear tomorrow and Vance took
Right.
over, would there be still, would it go on as a MAGA party without the charisma? Because JD Vance doesn't have the charisma.
JD Vance doesn't
So
have
would
the
it
charisma.
disappear? Doesn't have
JD
passion.
Vance just definitely does. I don't think JD Vance can carry on. I don't really know who could carry on.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
a
see
really interesting question.
any figure that could carry on, you
Not
know.
Marco Rubio.
No, no, not little Marco. No, no.
He's been living up to his name. Yeah,
Yes, he
yeah.
has.
All right,
Yes.
I have to, we're talking to Mary Anne Sharkey. She is a longtime political observer in Ohio, a pioneering woman investigative journalist, a longtime friend. I so respect your opinions and your insights. So I want you to pick your favorite, and there are many to choose from, of the latest corruption scandals of this administration and the Trump family. What's your favorite one?
There are so many. I would say this $1.8 billion slush
Oh,
fund, but in the attorney general is going to mete out all this money to, people who have been wronged, whatever that means, meaning they've been convicted, meaning a jury of
they have been targeted by Biden's weaponization of the Department of Justice is the
that's
wording.
right. That's the official line. Yes.
So I've
Yes.
just been reading about this, Marianne, and
Well, I
it's
mean, to me,
amazing.
Rosemary, I'm because I think politically, I don't think it's a coincidence this $1.8 billion slush fund is coming about during the midterms.
And why is that?
Who are they going to fund? Proud Boys? I mean, really,
Wow, good question.
January 6th, folks,
Yes.
who's going to get this money? I mean, not only, I mean, talk about insult, you know, injury and insult. He already injured us by the pardons. Now he's insulting us by giving them money.
It is unprecedented that this much money has been set aside, and the way it's been set aside, it would have no oversight from Congress or
Exactly.
any other agency. The president alone has discretion. There's no criteria for the awarding of the money. It can go
No.
to whomever he wants.
Yeah, the acting attorney general who wants to
Yes.
be the attorney general,
Trump's
um,
former personal lawyer.
yeah, his former personal lawyer is going to select 5 people to sit on this board, and only one of the 5 is subject to congressional approval.
Wow,
Only one out
unbelievable.
of the 5.
I have one more time, once more, this whole setup has reminded me of the skill at loopholes that Trump's lawyers have. He has picked people who know exactly where the weaknesses are. Even the way this came about, you remember Trump wanted to sue the IRS for $10 billion,
Right.
saying that
Right.
yes, his tax returns should not have been leaked to the New York Times. And the judge in the case, he did not get Eileen Cannon this time, although he tried. He drew an Obama appointed judge. And she said,
Right.
you can't do this. You're both the person bringing the suit and the person who decides whether, the suit gets defended or not. That might be unconstitutional. And she's clearly headed towards a ruling of getting rid of it, dropping the case. And so they offer this settlement. And the way they filed the papers, they dismissed the case. The judge approved the dismissal. They did not file the settlement agreement. So the judge gets no say in the settlement agreement. It
Right.
stands just the way Trump and his Justice Department, which is the same as Trump, decided it. I'm sorry, that is both horrifying and
It
incredibly
is.
clever. Why don't Democrats have lawyers like this?
Well, it's a good question. I think that Joe Biden and Barack Obama both respected the Justice Department as a separate entity and an independent entity from the president. And they basically appointed and then left them alone. And that's what that's what they believed, it should be done. I don't know if you saw the Colbert's interview with Barack Obama.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that was one issue that he brought up, that, the separation of the Justice Department from the president's office.
Right.
And that would be one of the reform measures that he would definitely recommend.
Oh yeah, I wish we had done that before. That's for sure. Okay, so we agree that the slush fund for Trump cronies is probably the worst, but
It
it's
is
far
so
from the.
outrageous.
Pardon me.
Rosa, it's so outrageous.
It
It's
is. I
so
mean, I have to
outrageous.
laugh at it, and
I
I
know.
do have this begrudging admiration for MAGA lawyers who keep coming up with these schemes.
Right,
You
right.
mentioned before how no one really knows about the intricacies. You're right, but these lawyers they knew about
Of
certification.
course
They
they
knew
did.
about how to stop the election in 2020, and they're
Of course
still
they
at
did.
it. They are still
Yes.
at it. But
Yes.
some of the other recent scandals, I'm horrified by the Trump insider trading that's been exposed
Yes.
by investigative reporting. Something
Yes.
like 1,700 stock trades since he became president the second time. All have benefited his family. All have profited from knowing what he, as the president, would approve as government policy.
Right. Right.
Cyber currency and
Oh,
Nvidia are two
yeah.
examples.
Yeah, he wants to be Elon Musk kind of wealth building. I mean, really, I mean, maybe Elon, who knows, is advising him how to build that wealth. I mean, he obviously he likes his entourage of billionaires, and
Yes,
that's who he wants to be. He
right.
wants to be part of the billionaire class.
And we taxpayers are going to help him get there if this keeps
Yes.
going on. It's
Oh, and don't forget, Rosemary, he's not taking a salary as president.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, unlike other presidents, yeah, he's not profiting. He doesn't need the money.
Yes,
Well, we could
right.
talk about the stupid ballroom, and
Oh,
I actually
yes,
don't think it's bad to have a ballroom, but it could have been in the East Wing. It didn't have to be the replacement for. And
exactly.
what happened to the idea that he and his private donors, his friends, were going to pay for it? He's now asking for, or his Republican cronies are asking for $1 billion in taxpayer money for this architectural monstrosity. That's kind of fraudulent.
Yes.
Bait and switch.
Well, I mean, you've done the tour of the White House just like I have and
Yep.
millions of others. And first of all, he paves over the Jackie Kennedy's Rose Garden. But
Yeah.
that was the first horrible thing.
Yes.
And then the basin, he wants to paint it like a pool.
Yep.
A blue bottom like a pool. And he hires the painters who've done pools at his resorts, his golf courses.
You're right.
It's just and then look at how he's decorated the Oval Office.
Oh
I
God, it looks like a
I
bordello. It's
It
so
does,
so
it does.
chintzy.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like trailer court trash to have money. It just, it just
But we don't have to worry because your JD Vance is on a campaign against fraud.
Oh, yeah, right, sure he
But
is.
apparently it's only fraud in blue states if you look at
Yes,
what he's done so
yes.
far.
Right, right, right. And
I
JD Vance wants everybody to have children.
yeah,
That that's
many children.
Many children, many
Yes,
children.
he's
Well,
contributing
that
to that.
I mean, for historians from Nazi Germany, that was what their goal was.
Yeah, it's been long disturbing to me how similar the Trump and his administration is to Hitler in the early days
Yes,
of his administration, his regime.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, but I got to tell you, my favorite scandal
What's
is
that?
Cash Patel. The
Oh,
latest being that he went snorkeling at Pearl Harbor
oh
looking
my
at the
God.
dead bodies. Oh my God.
Sacred ground, sacred water.
The combination of cronyism and bad taste have we ever seen this? I guess Clinton's brother, his drunken brother, came close to this.
But he wasn't on the payroll.
Right.
I mean, yeah, his drunken brother, yes, but he was never on the payroll.
No, he
I
was
mean,
not.
and I mean, so no, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. I mean, I know you listen to CNN, MSNBC, or MS Now, or any of these cable shows, and FBI agent after FBI agent is just horrified
Yep.
by what's going on. I mean, 2,800 agents left, I think it was in the last year and a half.
Yes.
That's a lot of brain power.
Well, and the Department of Justice overall, not just Cash Patel's FBI, are bleeding people of conscience and hard work and integrity who can't bear to be there anymore.
Right.
It's been decimated. And it makes you worry that even if Democrats were to get back in, that takes years to build back. These
It
people go on to
does.
other jobs and other
It
positions.
does. It
It
does.
doesn't instantly flash back, switch back to how it was.
No, it does not. And those people will, certainly the most talented of them will have found jobs elsewhere and
Absolutely.
won't be willing to come back.
It used to be that the best lawyers were at the Department of Justice because that was
Exactly.
the hottest job, the most,
Exactly.
you
I
get
mean,
the prestige.
from years of reporting, and so do I. The Justice Department was very impressive when they would come in
Right,
on a case.
right,
They would come in with all guns a-blazing, and they'd be ready, and they were just about the toughest lawyers in town, even if you put up great lawyers on the defense. These
right.
these people were prepared, and they were ready, and they were good at their jobs. And
One columnist recently, forgive me, I don't remember who, just went through and went through the briefs that the Justice Department has been filing in a number of cases and pointed out outrageous errors. We're talking grammar errors, spelling errors, factual errors, the sort of stuff that law clerks used to fix.
Right,
We don't
right.
have that now. It's an embarrassment.
It is. It is.
But Jeannie Perot is making Washington safe now. If your child is caught out past curfew, you will be prosecuted.
Uh,
Good idea?
yeah, and like that's her job. You know, they're like they want to be the dog catchers. They
Yeah,
want to they want to be involved in everything on every level. It's city, county, state. They want to be in all levels of government. Whatever happened to the Republican Party who believed in less government, not more government?
yeah, yeah. Well, that was always a problem for them. I can remember before Trump, in the days before Trump, when Republicans were fighting the Terry Schiavo case. Jeb Bush was
Oh, right. I remember that. Yeah.
there seems to be no bigger government than the one that's deciding life and death issue rather than the
Yeah.
person and her relatives. So I think that's always been a problem for Republicans talking small government but wanting to intrude on the smallest personal health detail.
Well, on social issues, they've always wanted to intrude.
Absolutely, abortion being the big
Yes,
one.
abortion being the number one thing that they wanted to intrude upon.
So we're fast running out of time here, Mary Anne
Okay.
Sharkey. Is there any other political issue or scandal or topic that we should talk about before we go?
Well, we have a kind of interesting governor's race going on here, as you probably
Yes, you
know.
do. Although
Yeah.
I think California's is more
Oh,
interesting.
it's much. Yeah. Well, it's crazy. It's wilder. It's wilder than ours.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, Vivek Ramaswamy, however you pronounce his last name, I'm sorry about that. I'm used to reading, not being on
I'm an
a
old print
podcast.
journalist. I know the problem.
Yes, right, right. Is running, and of course he was a part of Doge, and then
Yes.
was kicked out of Doge by Elon Musk. And the condolence prize, as far as I can tell, was Trump would endorse him for governor of Ohio. So thank you, Trump. More favors. Brought it, gave us Bernie Moreno, gave us JD Vance, and now it's going to give us a governor. So and then Amy Acton is on the other side, and Dr. Amy Acton, and she advised Mike DeWine and was on regularly during COVID. They had almost daily programs talking about COVID and press briefings, and so she came from the Mike DeWine cabinet, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, she quit at a certain point because they were reopening schools before she thought they should, and a few other things started. And plus, they were starting to pick a lot of the anti-vaxxers really got into play and started picketing her home and her home life and her family, and so it all got to be too much for her. So she did resign. Um, so for some reason, I don't know how she rose to the top of the Democratic Party, but she somehow got there. I think with the help of Sherrod Brown and Connie Schultz. I think Connie and
Hmm.
Amy have a little alliance. Um,
Interesting.
a lot of times it's personal, as you know. It's not just professional things you're doing. A lot of times it's the people you know and your personal allegiances. And so anyway, Amy Acton is running, even though she's had no experience at all in even local government. But she has a shot. She has a shot. I mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
um,
Well, Ramaswamy doesn't have a lot of experience in government
no,
either,
he doesn't have any
other than that those few months in the
in Doge.
Doge. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah, that's it.
All right. Well,
So we have
Marianne,
two
I'm going to
rookies
have you
running for
back.
him.
Oh, I'm sorry, I talked over
Well, I
you.
said we have two rookies running here in Ohio.
Two rookies, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Obama made rookiedom fashionable,
Yes, he
and
did. Yes,
I
he did.
don't appreciate that. I was a Hillary person. I think experience and actual knowledge really counts for something.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit too old-fashioned.
Yeah, I'm old school here. Mary Anne Sharkey, I'm going to be inviting you back in
Okay,
the
thank
third,
you. Enjoyed it,
when our fourth
Rosemary.
season opens in after the 4th of July. It was great talking to you. Please
I
keep
always
paying
enjoy talking to
attention.
you too,
I know
Rosemary.
I do. I love it. And we end our programs with the toast. The only one I can think of today is I want to toast more purple states turning a different color. A solid blue would be very nice in my view.